Well, that took a while to get back again. I'm sorry about that. But not a thing I can do about it. Not one single thing can I do about that. All right, so moving along. Let's keep reading. The problem of supply. So here, the artillery received such the artillery received such authorization in 1834. So this is to have the flag on our artillery, on our cannons, on our tanks, whatever they have got driving across land. They had authorization to have the flag on it now in 1834. The infantry, so that those are the soldiers. The soldiers now have authorization to have the flag on. And the cavalry, they are on horses. So I'm going again. As I said before, I got so rudely interrupted. Is that I'm going by what I know. Artillery is the machinery, right? Infantry, those are the soldiers. Cavalry, they're on horses. So they're getting authorization to have our American flag on those military units. The problem of supplying Washington's army with flags is illustrated by a letter which Richard Peters, Secretary of Board of War, wrote to General Washington on May 10, 1779, almost 2 years after the flag resolution was passed. We hope to have in a short time a competent number of drums. As to colors, we have refused them for another reason. The Baron Steuben mentioned when he was here that he would settle with Your Excellency some plan as to colors. It was intended that every regiment should have 2 colors, one the standard of the United States, which should be the same throughout the army, and the other a regimental color, which should vary according to the facings of the regiment. But it is not yet settled what is the standard of the United States. It is Your Excellency. If Your Excellency will therefore favor us with your opinion on the subject, we will report to Congress and request them to establish a standard. And so soon as this is done, we will endeavor to get materials and order a number made sufficient for the Army. Interesting. So the Army is looking for their own regimental color on the flag to separate them, right? Finally, on March 1st, 1783, nearly a year and a half after the surrender of the British at Yorktown, Washington received a communication stating that Congress had fulfilled his request for national standards. Unhappily, delivery was never made. Lost in storage, what happened to those flags remains unknown to this day. Although Congress did not provide the Army with flags, authorities think it likely that some regiments may have carried stars and stripes of their own making. However, there is no historical proof. The stars and stripes shown in the best-known paintings of Revolutionary War scenes of those of John Trumbull are actually fancies on the part of the artists. So they're adding those. A number of stars and stripes said to have been carried by various regiments are still in existence, and although Congress had not yet provided the Army with flags, it is difficult to imagine that at Yorktown, where Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781, there would not have been an American flag. In this case, there is supporting evidence. An artistically inclined British officer painted a watercolor of Yorktown during this siege. This picture, owned by Colonel Williamsburg Inc. No, not Colonel. Colonial Williamsburg Inc. shows the stars and stripes flying over the American fortifications. I sometimes get those words mixed up. At the conclusion of the Revolution, the Army was reduced to well under 1,000 men. The last remaining United States warship, Alliance, was sold in August 1785. From then until 1794, when our new Navy was established, only American merchant ships carried the stars and stripes into foreign harbors. On September 30th, 1787, a merchant ship, Columbia, under the command of Captain Robert Gray, sailed out of Boston flying the American flag. On August 10th, 1790, she was back after a 42,000-mile voyage. For the first time, the stars and stripes had been carried around the world. Oh. On January 13, 1794, Congress passed a second flag resolution. Like the first, it was brief. In less than 4 lines, it stated that beginning on May 1st, 1795, the flag should be 15 stripes alternate red and white with the union of 15 stars, white in a blue field. This second flag resolution was enacted as a result of the admission of Vermont in 1791 and Kentucky in 1792. So 13 stars to 15 stars now into the Union. By now, the government was functioning under the Constitution, and legislative discussion was recorded in the Congressional Journal. Introduced by Stephen Bradley of Vermont, the second flag resolution met no opposition in the Senate. In the House of Representatives, however, a spirited debate followed before the resolution was passed by a vote of 50 to 42. One congressman voted against the resolution because ship owners would have to buy new flags for all their ships at a cost of $60 each. It should be borne in mind that in 1794, the United States was still a small, struggling nation. There was no navy, and the bulk of the small army was far away in the Ohio country fighting Indians. So that was the French-Indian War. Under these circumstances, many congressmen expressed the opinion that a flag resolution was too trivial a matter to take up their time and attention. The most telling objection, of course, was that if the stars and stripes were added in the admission of each new state, the flag would soon become cluttered. However, the majority of congressmen were swayed by the argument that Vermont and Kentucky would be offended if they were not represented on the flag. Besides, the added stars and stripes would show foreign powers that the young nation was growing. And it was growing. Within another decade, during their expedition of 1804 to 1806, Lewis and Clark carried the flag across the continent to the Pacific Ocean. Really does it does give you a patriotic pride in the colors, right? Red, white, and blue, in the colors and in the flag, and representing who you are, right? And fighting for who you are. It's 9:05, folks. I know we had a bumpy start and a late start as well. But we're only supposed to be here for 45 minutes, and I'm pretty sure we did 45 minutes on our first schedule. The most famous American flag is the Garrison Standard, which flew over Fort McHenry during the British bombardment on September 13th and 14th, 1814. The sight of this flag still flying proudly after a successful defense of the fort inspired a 22-year-old lawyer, Francis Scott Key, to write the Star-Spangled Banner. Key's poem, set to music, soon gained immense popularity, but it was not until March 3rd, 1931, that a simply worded congressional bill making the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem was signed by President Herbert Hoover. That was in 1931. It became the national anthem. The original Star-Spangled Banner was made by Mrs. Mary Pickersgill of Baltimore at a cost of $405.90. It is now on display in the United States National Museum, a bureau of the Smithsonian Institution. When this flag flew over Fort McHenry, it measured 30 by 40 feet. Today, in its restored state, it is 28 by 32 feet. Who ate the rest? Okay, we only have a few more pages, and so we're going to finish this on Thursday is what we'll do. All right, we'll finish the story about the flag on Thursday. I have to go. I only have 10 minutes before the next class starts. And that is our Bookless classroom. So I'll probably actually start our Bookless classroom at 9:30. So I have a little bit of a break. So I'll see you guys at 9:30. Okay? All right. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. I'm still here. What are you doing? What are you doing at 9:07 on July 4th, 2023, our Independence Day? Thanks for joining me. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. I'm the teacher. We're here in the Early Bird Classroom. Thanks for joining me. Did I say that? I think I did. Thanks.